Small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Let's go.
Interesting. So, we're going to talk about first aid here, my darlings. We're going to talk about prepping again. You guys all ready for this? I have pulled out most of my first aid kit. You can see the pile behind me. We started talking prepping last week. We started talking about food. We started talking about prepping on a budget. And prepping on a budget is going to come into it again this week. And because let's face it, most of us are broke. We'd all love to be able to go out and buy the best of the best of the best, but the chances of us being able to afford that shit is zero, right? So you make do with what you've got and what you can get within your budget. So a lot of the stuff I'm going to discuss today on when it comes to first aid is going to be in that same category. In a perfect world, we would do things one way. We would make choices to do things this way in a perfect world. But in a not perfect world, or in a not perfect world scenario, we may have to go in a different direction because you've got to be able to do what you can with what you've got on hand and with the budget that you have available to you, right? I mean, this is a big one for all of us. So I want to talk about first aid. And now we've had lots of different first aid conversations for quite a while, for years, in fact. And before we get into this, I want to put something really, really straight. And I'm going to show you guys my first aid kit. My first aid kit is not going to be your first aid kit. What I have gathered for myself is not necessarily what you are going to need or want for yourself. So I'm going to try and as we're going through and discussing this stuff, I'm going to try and give you like notes of like this is something you may want to look into versus this is something you must have on hand. The must-haves, I will be very clear and be like, you must have this on hand in a first aid kit. And the other levels of stuff we'll discuss, right? We'll discuss because I'm going to take you right through it all. There's also a big difference between bugging out and bugging in. So we talked about this last week as well. Bugging in is when you are in your house, you're staying in. We all had a bug-in situation when we were in lockdown. The lockdown was kind of a level 1 bugging in situation. You were in your house, you had to make do, but you still could go out level 1 because you could still go out to a grocery store and get some stuff if you needed it. Things were limited, but it was available at the time. You were bugging into your house. Same thing with your first aid kit is the same thing with food and anything else. A bugging out situation, i.e. you must leave the house for a flood, a forest fire. Any of these situations are bugging out situations when you have to evacuate. Your kit's going to be different. So I want to talk basic. First off, I want to talk about basic first aid that everyone should have in their house. It is shocking to me how many people, because since I've been going through all this prepper stuff in my head and thinking about how to set up some of the shows, I've been talking to people. I've been like just local people that I know, et cetera, people that I know online that are not necessarily in talking about this type of subjects we do. And I've been talking to them, and it is shocking to me how few people actually have a proper first aid kit or what they consider a first aid kit. I've spoken to a lot of people who, when you say, do you have a first aid kit? And they're like, yeah, I got a first aid kit. What's in your first aid kit? Well, I got some plasters, I got some Band-Aids, and I've got some Tylenol, Panadol, ibuprofen. I've got that cough syrup I bought last year when, I was sick. And that's pretty much what they consider a first aid kit. Band-aids and some painkillers, and that's it. So I'm going to talk about basic first aid kits, what everyone should have in a basic first aid kit. To varying levels, again, to varying levels, versus what expanded first aid kits versus bugging in, bugging out type thing. So do we have any questions before I get started and start hauling shit out of the bag? Does anyone have any questions or want to make any comments along this line first?
Yes.
Yes, boss.
One thing quick. Add a knife to your first aid kit, a good one.
Darling, we'll get there.
Preferably. Yeah. Hang on, but let me get this sort out. There's a specific kind of knives that you can get that you can put together, and it has like a thorn at the end where you can destroy a glass shield rather quick. So you know what I mean? Like.
Yep.
And it has like a cable cutter sort of built in, so you can cut through the belt that you have to wear when you drive a car. So if you have a first aid kit, if you have it in a car, maybe you want to get some tool like that if a car accident happens, so you can help destroy the windshield and cut someone free and get it out of the car.
We actually have that. I was about to say, go grab it, Danny. That's exactly
I got mine, and Don knows what I'm talking about. You guys have heard me talk. Well,
yeah.
Everyone needs one of these. Now, unfortunately, these are only available. This one here is only available in the States. But there are multiple other models, and this one's not cheap. This was bought as a gift for me. These are $50 each. This is a flashlight. I'm not going to turn it on, because if I turn it on, I will blind everyone. This has got the most high-powered flashlight I've ever had, and Don will know because Don's got the same make, and like you can see right to the very back of your property easily. This one has
awesome.
Okay, so it has multiple. It's got 3 levels. It's got a flashlight, very bright, a more muted flashlight, and it's got a flashing light. So in other words, if you're walking down a road, you can have it in your hand with the in fog, and have the flashing light on, so that cars can see you because they'll see the flashing light. It also it is solar charged. I can put it out in the sun and solar charge it. It also has funky little LED lights in it as well too. It has, you can't see this, a compass on the back end of it. Fully calibrated compass, really good one actually. It has a glass smasher for smashing glass if you need to get out of a car. It has a seatbelt cutter in case you have to get out of a car. It has, what else? It's also got a magnet, and a really high powered magnet. So if you need, for example, you need to pull over the car and you need to fix something, you can literally magnetize that to the hood of the car and have it shine down. Anything that's metal, this thing will stick to, and like really stick to. You can also recharge it on your computer or your devices, whatever device you want. You can charge it that way as well. What is this? Don, what's this one called? Do you know what company it is? I don't even know what company it is.
In an American Patriot or something.
American Patriot or something like that. They're about $50 a piece. They're not cheap. Well worth every fucking penny, I'll tell you. This is my baby. This goes with me everywhere. And it's heavy. Like if you had to hit someone with this, self-defense, no problem. They do not ship internationally. That is the one thing that really fucking sucks. I wish they did. I wish they had even someone in Europe, for example, who carried their products so you could order from. I don't know, maybe if enough people inundate the company and be like, dude, fucking need some, please. There you go. Dawn's dropped Dawn, do me a favor. Can you copy paste that into my messenger as well? And I will put the link down below. Guys, I'm not affiliated with this company. I'm not going to make a penny off of the sales of these. These are the best flashlight I have ever fucking used. And everyone who I've ever shown this to is like, oh, I need one. It is amazing fucking flashlight. So yeah, but like Bossy was saying, the tools. Be able to break glass, be able to cut things. That's got a really sharp blade in the back of it. Yet you can hold it. It's not gonna cut you in any way, shape, or form. And yeah, I won't turn it on because I would blind you if I actually turned it on. This is something that everyone should have in your car, in your house. Seriously, the best flashlight ever made. I'll put this down.
It even comes in different colors now.
Oh, does
When
it
we
come?
got
Comes in different
Yeah,
colors?
when we got it, it came in black. Now it's got like 4 or 5 colors. So they,
Nice. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna have to figure out how to do this. Okay, so can you guys hear me okay? If I swing over, can you guys hear me okay? Yes? No? Yes?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. This is my first aid kit. You guys can't even see this. That's my first aid kit. It's fucking heavy. It's about 10 kilos. This is, I'll start off with the bag that my first aid kit's in. This bag was sent to me by a friend. It is a yachting bag, so it's meant to be completely waterproof. That's something to keep in mind. And anytime if you're dealing with a bug out situation, that weather plays into it, you want something that is waterproof. So the worst thing in the world, if you've got Band-Aids and bandages and all of a sudden they're sopping wet, right? So this is ginormous, and it's not even remotely big enough. This is only my kit that's in this bag. I have a whole table full of shit over here that I will get to. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to pull through some stuff on it. I wish I could angle this better. Let me see if I can. Let's see. Is that no? Great. Now all you guys are looking at is my tits. Great. Everyone can just look at my tits. Okay. So first thing, everyone take note. Everyone should have one of these. If you don't have one of these, you need to go out tomorrow and buy one. Everyone. There's no excuse not to have a hot water bottle. Every person needs to have a hot water bottle. These, whether you're bugging out, bugging in, doesn't matter. They are 1,001 uses. Not only, I mean, anything from injuries to strains to menstrual cramps to backaches to headaches. It doesn't have to be a hot water bottle. It can also be filled with ice cold water to do a cold press on an injured limb. Okay, you can buy them at the dollar store. Try and get rubber ones. A lot of the new ones that are cheap are like a plastic composite. They don't hold up. Even rubber will deteriorate over time, but rubber is way, way better than plastic. Also, something to look for in a water bottle, okay? You see how it has got a metal sleeve inside. It must be a metal sleeve because that is the only way it's going to maintain its. See, I'm trying to show you guys. The lighting sucks. You see, it's got the metal screw threads are metal. Make sure, don't get one with plastic because they will never ever, plastic expands too much when you're dealing with hot and cold, and they will always leak. They'll never be able to hold themselves together, okay? So, number one thing that everyone needs to have in their first aid kit, home, away, in the car, is hot water bottles. Everyone in my family has their own hot water bottle. That's how much we use them. Because in the wintertime and your feet are cold, hot water bottle works like a charm. Fuck, this is going to be bad. Okay, where are we going to put stuff? Okay, that can be thrown down there. Because everything is seriously packed in here like hell and back, I'm going to have to try and do this in a somewhat organized manner. So we'll kind of try and pull shit out and present it as I would everyone else. Second thing you need in your first aid kit, whether you're bugging out or bugging in, if you wear glasses, you should have an emergency pair of glasses in your first aid kit. In your bug out bag, if you use glasses for any reason, whether it's distance, whether it's reading glasses, for me, I have to use reading glasses. If I'm doing anything first aid on someone, I have to have my reading. If I'm trying to pull splinters out or bind a bandage on someone, do stitches, I have to have reading glasses. So I have a pair of reading glasses in my bug out bag. Very, very important. Now, put that to the side. What do we have? Next thing that I can pull out here. Well, we'll get to that in a minute too. I'm trying to show you guys, we'll start off with basics kind of stuff. Okay, so this is my bandages bag, wound bag. Let's call it a wound bag. Cuts, scrapes, anything that's dealing with blood, etc., etc. Okay, you will note that everything I have is always in Ziploc bags. Now these things here are the worst Ziploc bags. Try to not get them. I'm actually replacing all mine. I've ordered heavy duty, hard, thick plastic, proper Ziplocs without these stupid slide things. These slide things will always end up giving out, and they are never fully waterproof. So try to not get those kind of Ziplocs. It's a case of do as I say, not as I do. So I have got basic bandages. So medical tapes. I have 2 or 3 here. I've got 3 different types of medical tape. You've got the clear plastic. I've got the white fabric. I've got your typical, we all know this kind of one. I have got some zinc paper fabric tape coming as well, which I've had to order. I have got butterfly closures. If you don't know how, I can make a butterfly closure out of anything. If you don't know how to, getting a little packet of these, you can pick them up at the drugstore, at the dollar store. In a case where you get a little cut, something that just doesn't require stitches, or you don't have stitches available, that's what you need. Okay, and those are just butterfly closures to hold the skin shut. So, number 1. Other thing you should have, not this one in particular, because it's industrial strength, super glue. Same thing. You can go to the dollar store and you can get, they look like a little clear pill bottle, and they may have 2 or 3 little tiny tubes inside it of super glue, basically one use. Those are brilliant. Super glue, crazy glue, was invented as surgical adhesive. As anyone who's ever gotten this on their fingers and glued themselves to something knows that it sticks fucking everything to your skin. It will also stick skin shut. In an emergency situation, better to use something like that than go without. Especially if you have like a deep wound and you're in an emergency situation, you can glue the wound shut until you can get to medical help, etc. Super glue. Like I said, this is industrial size. You don't need one this big. You'll end up wasting it. If you get, like I said, the ones that come where you get multiple little packet, teeny tubes within a little pill bottle kind of thing, those are ideal. I have to get some of those. I also carry, now, basically you're going to talk about things like, so plasters, Band-Aids, right? Same thing. All different kinds of plasters and Band-Aids, from different things, from fingertip ones to ones to go on your knee, little tiny ones that can cover blisters, to the ones that are the strips so you can cut them down to the size that you want. The more the merrier. I also try and get big ones, have even just a couple of big plasters. If you're dealing with someone with a big scrape, like someone's like fallen down and really scraped their shin or their knee, and they need to cover a large area, it's quick, it's fast, it's in a hurry, so it's not bad. Those are, in my opinion, your must-have. Everyone should have a collection of plasters, Band-Aids, a collection of them, all different kinds, different adhesives too, because a lot of people are allergic to the adhesive that is on plasters and Band-Aids. So it's good to know that maybe you need to get a couple that have got some different adhesives, just in case you've got someone in your family who is allergic to the adhesive. I can wear one of these ones, the Elastoplast, the classic brown fabric-y kind of stuff. I can wear one of those for a day or two. When I broke my elbow, broke my arm a few weeks back, because I'd taken all the skin off, you can see the scar there, I had to put bandages on it. I got secondary infections all the way around that I'm still trying to heal. And that was just from the adhesive. So be aware, adhesives for me are my last go-to. If it's something on an arm that I can put a pad on and wrap gauze around it, I will always try and do that instead. Then you've got next level stuff, right? For me, I have got a lot more things in my kit than other people would have. So I have things like large strips of sterile gauze. I have gauze packing. I have large sterile gauze pads, okay, that I always have. These are well worth having on hand. They're all, they're not that expensive to buy. So these are just like 10 centimeter square gauze pads, 5 pieces in a pack. You have those now. But, Get back in there. Well, I'm going to have to close all these things up afterwards, otherwise I'll be fighting. Everyone should have in their first aid kit maxi pads, menstrual pads. The number one compression bandage in the world is a menstrual pad. The number one, if you're dealing with a large amount of blood loss, if you're dealing with something where you need to apply a lot of pressure, this is what you want to have in your pack. Absolutely, everyone should have at least, that's just a little collection of all different kinds of sizes and shapes, etc., etc. Cheap, easy, the best pressure bandages you will ever use. Okay, so I also have, but again, so things, I've got abdominal wound type bandages. You guys are not going to need, the average person is not going to need that kind of stuff. I have a kit of stuff that's my extra kind of stuff that I keep. So things like, for example, I have big, ginormous, what we would call kilt pins, if you guys don't remember, for pinning together bandages. For if you have to make, for example, a sling or something like that. I have bandage cutters. Those are specifically just for cutting through bandages because they have a piece that slides through. It's a safety scissor for dealing with bandages and casts and things like that. Not necessary. You don't absolutely have to have them, but it's something, if you can pick them up, it's a good thing to have. Okay. This is going to be a very large mess because I'm going to have to be like repacking stuff as I'm putting things away just so I have room to pull out the next piece. Okay, let's just push this stuff over here for the moment. Put it in this bag. It's amazing how much you can fit in one Ziploc bag, seriously. Which is why having good, strong Ziploc bags is important, so you can fit it all in. So again, I've got all mine, anything to do with wounds, etc., is all in one bag. It's one grab bag, so I don't have to go fishing for, the Band-Aids are in one bag, and the tape is in another bag, etc. Think organizational skills. It's really important. Okay, because if you're ever in a first aid situation, most of the time people panic, and so you need to make things as easy as you possibly can. So this is my bandage bag. Now, bandage bag, by this I mean I'm talking compression, I'm talking for injuries, sprains, strains, etc. So I have, this is really, really simple, what they call crepe bandage. I have it all different widths and sizes. They come with little clips, but you can use tape on it, anything. So if basically if you have someone who's got a pulled muscle, a sprained wrist, any kind of that type of an injury, you've got stuff on hand to be able to wrap it all up. This stuff is dirt cheap. I bought almost everything that's in this bag came from a dollar store. Okay, I was able to find it at dollar stores or at like your Walmart type places in the first aid department. Now I also carry, there's a really large one. This is a large crepe one. So if you're dealing with larger injuries, thighs, calves, etc. Those are a must-have. Everyone should have some of that stuff. It's important because there are 1,001 uses for them. The things that can, whether if you're dealing with someone, even using one of these, if someone's got a wound, maxi pad, crepe bandage wrapped around it, and on you go. It's easy. Now, I also keep compression bandages. So these are a whole assortment of different kinds of compression bandages. And again, I get them just long tubes. So basically, if someone has an injury, a knee, an ankle, a hand, you can put it in, for example, on a hand injury. If someone is hurt their wrist, you can cut a little thumb hole out here and literally put it on their hand as a compression bandage to help give them some support. And these things, same thing. You can get this anywhere. You can get this online. You can get it off of eBay. Really, really inexpensive. I've got 3 or 4 different widths. So everything from what could be a wrist to an ankle to a knee, depending on what you want. It's not a must-have, but they're handy. They're quick in a hurry, right? Yeah, Laura, exactly. Also really good. What you were saying about the crepe bandage, you want to hold a heat pad in place. You want to hold a cold pack in place. And because they're so cheap, you don't care if you use it and you throw it away. It's not like the old days of your old elastic bandages, your old tensor bandages, where you already paid $6-7 for the bandage. You wouldn't want to use it and throw it away. This stuff is really, really inexpensive. 1,001 uses. So it's and because it's inexpensive, you can just throw it away when you're done with it. It's not a big deal. Okay, so that is your bandaging stuff. I would call everyone should have some of that stuff. Dollar store, inexpensive. Walmart will have stuff like that. Tesco's, a lot of everything that's in this bag came from that kind of a shop. Nothing. I ordered these pressure bandages, the long pieces. I ordered those off of eBay. I think they were £2 a pack, and I've got 4 packs in there. So I spent £8, and I've got tons now. Okay, that's that one. Let's go on to what should we do with that? Okay. Oh, also in my bandage. Now again, this is not something you need, because if you don't know how to use it, it's not going to be very helpful. But you can learn how to use it. This is a professional tourniquet. So if you're ever in a situation where you need to put a tourniquet on someone, a really severe deep bleeding injury that you need to cut off circulation and tourniquet, that is a professional tourniquet. You can order them off of eBay. They're not that expensive. If you are the type of person who's going to be even rock climbing, doing the type of thing, camping, something that there is a chance of a serious injury, they're not a bad thing. I would recommend having one, but you have to know how to use it. And this is a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about here. Is it's well and good to have some of this stuff, but if you don't know how to use it, there's no use having it. And if you're not going to educate yourself on how to use it, there's no use having it, right? Okay, so next thing. This is a quick grab bag of just emergency stuff that I might need. Your basic supplies. Haha, look at that. Because sometimes having a face covering is actually important. Not for COVID, mind you, but sometimes it is important to have a face covering. Okay, latex gloves. Got a whole bag of latex gloves, and you'll see we'll find the latex gloves all the way through my kit all the time. Things like just a packet of tissue. Having a packet of tissue. These are just simple cotton pads, just to have in any situation, whether you're wiping things down, cleaning things up, etc., etc. Just the types of things. For me, they're not vital. I would always say everyone should have some gloves on hand, just because there are certain situations when you're going to want to have gloves on. But they're not super vital. Let's just say. We'll put it that way. They're not super vital. Put that over there. What else are we going to pull out here? Now, I have a lot of other stuff. Now, this is, let's say we're going up a level here. We're definitely going up to the next level of stuff that you should, okay, going on to bandages. These are, going back to sports type bandages. These are the newest thing. They're not expensive. They're well worth. I just ordered a few because I wanted to test them out. We've had so many sprained ankles and wrists lately in this house. These are, you guys may remember tensor bandages. This is the replacement now to tensor bandages. They are an elasticated bandage. They've got a flocking on them and just a Velcro that does them up. You can order them in all different sizes, and from ankles to wrists to thigh sizes. So those were on eBay £2.50 each. So I've got several of those. I have, for example, because I picked them up cheap at the dollar store, that is just a pull-on wrist brace with a little thumb hole cut out. I've got some ankle ones like this. I've got some pull-on knee braces. They're the same thing. They're just easy, quick, and in a hurry. And that dollar store, I paid it like $1 for it, and it's a little wrist brace. You can't go wrong. And they're cotton-based and washable, so you can use it and then just wash it, and away you go. Oh, I mean, we haven't even gotten to that section yet. Come on. So kind of, and everyone should have a few of those. Everyone should have a few tensor type bandages, because you twist an ankle, you're out walking, and you're out hiking, you twist an ankle, you twist your knee, you fall and you hurt your wrist. Something like this is easy, fast. It's dirt cheap to have on hand, and that doesn't go bad, right? It's not like you have to rebuy it 2 years from now. Once you've bought them, they're in your kit forever. And next level though. So this is next level stuff. This is my strapping kit, okay? This is not something that everyone is going to need, and you'd have to be comfortable with it. This contains rolls of strapping. So these are basically just cotton fabric, rolls of woven cotton fabric. They're non-stretchy. So this is if you have to splint a limb, if you have to immobilize someone, for example, someone's got a neck injury, and you are immobilizing them on a board, say around the head, etc., you need something that won't move. This is that kind of strapping. This is not stretchy strapping. These are great. These are brilliant. Anyone ever gotten one of these cheap, horrible belts? You'll see it. Like, I'm not going to unroll it, but they just have the, you put it under and then over and you slide it through. They come with cheap pairs of pants and cheap shorts, and they're just a woven fabric type belt like that. They're brilliant for strapping. You can use them 1,001 uses. Again, takes up no space. They just sit in the kit. This is packing strip, but I've used this so this is used for packing wounds, as I dropped the whole container. It's used for packing wounds. You can use it for little finger bandages because they're hollow. So if you've got a cut, you can actually stick it around your finger and put it on that way. But they're also really good for just little bits of strapping if you just need to tie a finger bandage on, anything like that. And of course, the quintessential, if you're dealing with finger injuries, everyone should have some popsicle sticks. I mean, you can use a pencil. You can use anything that's stiff if you injure a finger, but popsicle sticks are seriously, and these are used, these literally came from popsicles that the kids ate, and I just put them into the medical kit. Anything that's small that needs to be immobilized, popsicle sticks are brilliant. You wrap a little bit of gauze around one with some tape to make it padded, and then you can just literally tape it to the finger, piece of tape, fingers immobilized until you can get somewhere where they're looked after. So now that stuff is like, I call next level stuff. You have to know how to use it. It's not for everyone. Not everyone is going to want to have strapping kind of bandages or going to be in a situation where they're going to need them. Can you take the dog out of here, please? Take the dog outside, please.
Hey, Donnie.
Yes, love.
This is Dawn. I just wanted to interrupt to say thank you for doing this. This is awesome.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Again, not to be ridiculously stupid, having a proper mask is actually a good idea. We have situations, not COVID-19, where having a good N95 mask can be very, very helpful. Okay, so this is one. It's got the I don't have a lamp. It's got the removable filters. It's all in a waterproof bag. I've got replacement filters to go into it. If you're dealing with forest fires, if you're dealing with dust contamination, dust storms, if you're dealing with anything that's an extreme amount of particulates in the air, that is actually really important to have in your kit, in your first aid kit. There are certain circumstances when these are extremely useful. Not COVID-19, but other certain circumstances. And that one there, I love this one because it's got a little carabiner, so you can actually even clip it onto a backpack if you need to in a situation. Okay, that goes over there. Now, okay, thank you, love. Yeah, I got stuff in my side pouch, which I'll get into. Emergency things to have on hand. Now I'm going to pull out this stuff. This is in my top. Oh, it's all loose. I'm going to just hold up the bag so you guys can see it. My top of my bag, the zipper compartment, contains the drugs. Oh, the drugs. And things that are in there. Paracetamol, ibuprofen, cold capsules, hay fever medication, motion sickness medication, lemon, honey, and menthol type lozenges. This is, I've got tiger balm in here as well. I've got packages of antibiotics because you know what? There are a time and a place when those come in handy. Package of Tums. Everyone should have those on hand because oh my God, not good for you. This isn't stuff that you may not want to take painkillers. You may not want to go to ibuprofen. You may not want to go to paracetamol and Tylenol and all these things. But it's better to have it and choose not to use it than to need it and not have it. And that, as I go through all of this, these are the kinds of things that I always think about when I'm building my first aid kit. I have heavy-duty painkillers. I have, pardon me, antibiotics. I have all kinds of medications like that I would never use except in a real absolute emergency. Right? Charcoal pills. Brilliant to have. I actually don't have any on hand right now, Bossy. Charcoal pills is one of those things that everyone, in the list of things that you should have, everyone should have charcoal pills. 100%. Because so many things that they can help you with when you talk about first aid. Okay, so now the other thing that I have in here is things like measuring syringes. These are the ones when if you've had kids, they sometimes the kids' medicine comes with different syringes. These do not have a needle on them. They're for medicine, right? So I got 2 mil, 5 mil, got another 2 mil. You'll see all the rest of them. Again, these are throughout my kit everywhere. These are vital. I use these so often for everything you can imagine, from if I have to give medication to the dogs, even if I have to give homeopathics to the dogs occasionally, to the kids, to being able to measure something, right? Because they've got the measurements down the side of the syringe. So if you need to give someone 1 mil of anything, hell, I've used these to feed little tiny baby infant kittens that had lost their mom. I've used these to feed them. 1,000. If you get something in your eye and you need to flush out your eye, water and one of these to slowly flush out a wound, to flush out your eye. These are worth, every penny. Everyone should have some of these on hand, and you can get these off of eBay easily, and they're not expensive. So I always have 2 mil, 5 mil, and I usually have 10 mil as well, which are in another bag at the moment. Those are really important. This is a little something that not people really think about. That is an emergency tooth filling kit. Again, do I recommend this? No, I do not. Is this a solution for any kind of a long term? No, it certainly is not. But if you're in a situation, let's say, oh, we're in lockdown and all the dentist's office are closed and your tooth filling is falling out and it's screaming in pain, that is an emergency tooth fill kit. That cost me, I got that at Asda in their pharmaceutical section. I think it was $1.95. Dirt cheap. You can order them online. But it's good to have. Like again, would I use this in a normal situation? No, I wouldn't. But in an emergency, like I said, what we went through back in March, April, May, when fucking dentist office were closed, that can be a huge thing to help you out. Okay? The best before dates. Okay? You need to do your research on things. Medication rarely goes bad. What it can do is either it gets weaker, or in some rare cases, it gets stronger. Best before dates on just about anything, you need to remember that most best before dates on a non-food product anyway are put on the can for insurance purposes. They must put a date on there that you must use it by for insurance purposes so that they can get that coverage that they need. Most things that have a best before date, like, I'm sorry, how many of you bought a pot of honey and it had a best before date on it? Honey doesn't rot. Honey doesn't go bad.
Exactly. Didn't they find like honey in a pharaoh's tomb and it was
it's still
fine?
Good. Yep. So remember the best. I have liquid morphine that is 5 years out of date. I've researched it. It's fine. It gets weaker over time, but I have it. Am I going to get rid of it? No, I'm not, because you never know when a situation could come up where you're going to need a hardcore painkiller in an emergency situation. So keep it in mind. Best before dates. This is one of the reasons why I also tell people that it's stupid to go and buy a box of ibuprofen like this if it's going to expire in a year and you're going to be stuck with 3,000 tablets of ibuprofen that you can't use. But at the same time, a lot of those things, those best before dates are, let's say, extremely conservative. Very, very conservative, right? So, and homeopathy, as Anne was just saying, homeopathy, really, does it have a best before date? I don't think so. Okay, specialty items. I guess we'll get back to the specialty items in a second. Hold on. Let me pull up my side items. I have this. This is what my Bugging Out emergency kit is got. These are cheap ass vitamins. Cheap ass vitamins. And again, in a perfect world, would I use these? No, I would not. But in an imperfect world, in an emergency situation, better to have a more crappy vitamin D than to have none whatsoever. So I've got in here, I've got powdered vitamin C, ascorbic acid, not the best, but I've got it. I've got a magnesium and B6, a vitamin D, evening primrose oil, B complex, peppermint oil capsules, and I've got St. John's wort. And again, you can see, this is just Asda brand St. John's wort. I think that packet of St. John's wort capsules was £2, maybe? So, this is my bug out bag stuff. Hold on, guys. Sorry, the dogs are barking. Why are the dogs barking? Dogs are barking, of course. This is my bug out bag stuff. This is not stuff that would be my go-to on a regular daily basis. This is not my stuff that I would take because I felt I needed some extra vitamin C. This is my bug out bag stuff. It was really, really cheap. Everything I bought here that is in this pack came from a dollar store or came from, your Walmart type places. Ideal world, no, I wouldn't use it. Imperfect world, emergency situation where you need to boost some vitamins into the body, it'll do its trick. It will do. The other side, hold on, let me go through the other side of the kit before I get into the specialty stuff. Oh my god, I got so much crap in here. Okay, so again, syringes, right? I keep an entire bag of nothing but syringes. Okay? These are so useful. Everyone should have these kind of syringes, okay? Again, I've showed you before, so there's our little 5 mil, 10 mil. I've got, these are insulin syringes. Now, these ones don't have the needles on them. I actually do have insulin syringes, proper insulin syringes. I always have in my first aid kit because you never know. You never know if you're in an emergency situation, someone needs to take their insulin and they don't have a syringe. So, also, one of these. Now, this is a 100 ml syringe. You can get these anywhere that sells computer printer equipment, that sells art supplies. I mean, literally, they're available everywhere. They're about, I don't know, about $3-4 each. That's 100 ml. These are really good if you need to ever wash out a wound, to wash out an eye. Someone gets something really bad spilt in their eyes, you need to wash it out, to syringe out an ear that's impacted, anything like that. You just need to put some sterile water in it, saline solution, whatever your choice is, and then you can rinse it out. Everyone should have at least one of the big ones. It is so, so good. And yes, Amina, yes, feeding syringes. If you ever have a situation where you've got someone who cannot take solid food, these can be used for feeding syringes as well. Okay? super inexpensive, super inexpensive. Doesn't cost a lot. Some of this stuff you can pick up just from the pharmacy, and some of it, if you know your pharmacist well, and you said you have some like medicine syringes, a lot of times pharmacists will just give them to you. Yeah, here you go, and give you a handful of them, or your doctor's office, etc. If they have that kind of stuff. Now, what else do I going to pull out here? That is basic first aid stuff on a certain level. I have. No, you look at it. Where is this? Is my other first aid kit. This is the first aid kit that would get me arrested if I got caught crossing a border with it, because it's full of white powder, none of which is cocaine or heroin. It's all clay. It's all powdered stuff, but it looks very, very convincing to people. There's certain things we're talking about now on the natural side of things that everyone should have in their first aid kit. I'm going to go through some of these here. We talk about this kind of first aid, okay? Callaghan clay is also known as white clay, white china clay, porcelain clay. Really not expensive. You can order it online pretty much anywhere. And the reason, beyond the fact of clay is useful, and I have all kinds of different colors of clay. I keep green clay, gray clay, red clay, because they have different medicinal uses. Callaghan clay, medicinally, is phenomenal stuff. If you're dealing with staph infections, skin-based surface staph infections, Callaghan clay is one of my first go-tos for curing staph infections, bad skin infections. If you have splinters that are caked into the skin and you just can't get them out, Callaghan clay is one of the best things you can do to put on to draw things out. Anything that is something in the skin that you need to get out of the skin, Callaghan clay. The other thing is something most people don't know. When I was in the military and we were going through chemical weapons training, every military kit for chemical weapons came with a little bag full of this white powder stuff that in a chemical weapons attack, you had to pull off your gas mask, pull out the powder, dump it all over your face, your hands, your arms, and everything. You go through the whole training and you go, "Hey, Sergeant, what is that stuff?" Because I knew what it was. Callaghan clay. American, British, and Canadian forces. In a case of a chemical weapons attack, I know this is outrageous and we don't want to talk about this kind of stuff, but that's what they use to decontaminate the skin and protect the skin during something like that. So, very, very handy to have on hand. You can add it to your toothpaste if you're making your own toothpaste. It is really, really good to add to toothpaste. It is great to add just doing clay packs on your skin if you've got really, really bad skin. If you, for example, brush by a whole pile of nettles and you've got all that prickles that are all in your skin, mix up some Callaghan clay, spread it on there with a little bit of water, let it dry, rinse it off. It pulls everything out of the skin. Powdered borax. Again, so many medicinal uses. Borax in Canada, you find in the laundry aisle. 20 mule team borax is what this is. Borax decahydrate, if you really want to get technical. You can order it online, eBay, anywhere like that. Most companies that sell any kind of chemical stuff will sell borax. But yeah, you find it in the laundry aisle because it's used for cleaning clothes. Borax has got a huge amount of uses for health, for dealing with pest control, all kinds of things like that. And Epsom salts. Everyone should have plain Epsom salts in their first aid kit. Everyone. There's no reason to not have Epsom salt. It's cheap. In the case of extreme measures, you can take a couple of pinches of Epsom salt. It is a really, really good source of magnesium. If you're dealing with injuries, if you're dealing with sore muscles, backs, period cramps, anything like that, Epsom salt in a compress, in a hot compress, or in a bath, literally best thing ever. And again, it's inexpensive. I buy in 5 kilo jars. And a 5 kilo jar of Epsom salt off eBay costs me 7 quid, £7 sterling, somewhere around there. Okay, and the last thing in our powder bag that everyone should have is diatomaceous earth. Food grade, really important if you're ordering it, food grade diatomaceous earth. There are so many health benefits to diatomaceous earth, whether you're dealing with stomach problems, whether you're dealing with parasites, skin problems. It is a very, very good source of silica. So it is really, really important if you just mix a little tiny bit of it into a glass of water and drink it back. Very, very good. But make sure you get food grade diatomaceous earth. So that's just a small amount. I buy mine in 2, 3, 4 kilogram bags. So that's my small amount that is in my my bug out bag. So let me put all my powdery stuff that looks like drugs away. Yeah, Panda, it's funny, you go through these things and you forget. And it's the same thing. I had the diatomaceous earth, and I didn't have any in my kit. And then all of a sudden I found it the other day. I was like, wait, that's not in my kit. Why don't I have any diatomaceous earth in my kit? Holy crap, I need to have that. Rock salt? Yeah. Rock salt for muscle pains is really, really good. Okay, put that over here. Now, before I go into other stuff, okay, so I want to show you, this is a bug out first aid kit. That is Quinlan's bug out first aid kit that goes with her everywhere in her purse. She carries this in her purse all the time. Okay, it's real basic. See that little tiny food container? So it's nice and safe. It's going to keep dry. It's also going to be protected from getting dropped. Inside we have a small little thing of the balm that I make to help with, if anyone gets cuts or scrapes, to disinfect it and soothe it and make sure it's okay. It has homeopathics, arnica, and aconite, and it has her brother's constitutional, which is phosphorus. In case he gets injured, he's got his in there, okay? But those go everywhere with Quinlan in her bag, just like that. Then there's a few things. Some plasters, some band-aids, different sizes, a couple of small maxi pads folded up. In case of emergencies, Quinlan and Kira both carry these with them, everywhere they go. The amount of times they've gone to the park with their friends, they've gone to the beach with their friends, and someone has hurt themselves, and they've pulled out their kit and looked after people, adults, kids, pets sometimes. I couldn't even count the amount of times they've come home and told us, oh, we had to use our first aid kits. I'm always refilling it for them. This is really important. I don't understand why people do not do this. When kids fall down and scrape their knee at the park, it's taken care of right there. Everything that you could possibly need is taken care of. Now, my personal first aid kit that goes with me is a little bigger. Stop snickering. My daughter's over here snickering. Okay? These are great containers, by the way. I have no idea where these came from. These were sent to me by a friend. These are serious, hardcore containers that cannot be broken, smashed, etc., unlike a lot of the cheap plastic stuff. Okay, so this, as I unlock all my stuff, it's a little stiff sometimes. There we go. So this is my first aid kit. Goes in my purse, goes in my backpack when we go out foraging, when we go out hiking. Okay, first up, toothpicks. I know it sounds stupid, but how many times have you gone out and you got something to eat and got something stuck in your tooth? And we're going crazy for the rest of the afternoon while you tried to get that little piece of sesame seed or raspberry seed out from between your teeth. Toothpicks. Don't leave home without them. Small tea light candle and a lighter, because you never know when you're going to need a light. Little packet. I've got a packet of ibuprofen and a packet of paracetamol. Again, because you never know what's going to happen when you're running around. Okay, my homeopathics kit. A little smaller, or at least a little bigger than Quinlan's. It's got a few more different things in it, and Anne is going to talk to us about homeopathics in just a minute. But but it's all there. It's in a little hard plastic case, so I don't have to worry about the glass vials getting broken. The things that I use most often, okay? I have a little tiny, this is one of my sample bottles filled with Traumeal. Traumeal is a homeopathic cream for physical injuries, sprains, bruises, etc. Everyone should have this shit on hand. It is a miracle. Then it's same thing. Then just like your little package of, I have one small crepe bandage rolled up, a couple of maxi pads, a couple of different sizes of band-aids, etc., etc. And that just goes with me. And it goes, whatever bag I'm going in, I just toss it in the bag and away I go. Whether we're going hiking, whether we're going out for the day, doesn't matter. It's all taken care of. And I have it all packed away. And now, of course, I can't get it packed away again. Typical. See, I had it all organized. Now I've disorganized my organizational skills. Now, I'm going to show you. I have a few extra things that I carry with me for first aid. This is me. This is not necessarily what other people need. This is not necessarily what someone is going to want to have with them. So, for example, everyone should have certain types of essential oils. I have certain essential oils that go with me everywhere. I always have. I don't have them pulled out right now, unfortunately. Little bottle of lavender essential oil, a little bottle of, say, oil of oregano, a little bottle of peppermint oil, because I use them all the time. So in my personal bug out bag, I've got little tiny bottles. In my real bug out bag, though, my essential oils look more like this, because I use a shit ton of them. I don't go for little bottles. I tend to buy my essential oils in these kind of containers, this big. So you don't need to go that far. No one needs 500 ml of eucalyptus oil, or most people don't. That's just me. I always have with me in bug out bag, that is my Be Soothed balm, which is just a plain beeswax and oil balm. It doesn't have anything with it. Therefore, I can mix anything with it that I need. If you're out and you need something to deal with a sunburn, I can mix a lavender essential oil into that and apply it, and it's taken care of. If I need something to deal with a cut, with a scrape, etc., with an allergic reaction to something, I can mix the essential oil. I have the balm already made, plain balm, and then I can just mix up what I need and put it together. Yeah, well, this is it. My kit looks different. So I don't go anywhere without my SOS serum that I make, because we use it for everything from sunburns to mosquito bites to jellyfish stings to nettle stings to contact dermatitis like nettle stings, etc. So that's something that I always have in my kit. I always have available. My at-home Buggin bag, I have my own oils. So I have a liter of black seed oil on hand at all times. It's my personal oil that's always on hand. Hemp seed oil, argan oil, etc. These things, coconut oil. I have them on hand to be used at all times. When I'm bugging in, my aloe vera plants. Amina's just writing here, aloe vera. Yeah, right there on my windowsill. I have several aloe vera plants because I always have. So the first thing I buy as soon as I move into a new place, first thing I buy, new aloe vera plant, because you got to have it in the kitchen for burns. Aloe vera for long-term storage, though, you can freeze aloe vera. So if you're in a bugging in situation, you can freeze aloe vera, and it is brilliant to use for burns. You can literally take it, if you can get, sometimes in grocery stores, you can buy big leaves of aloe vera that are like, this thick around. You can literally grab that, you use a peeler, peel off all the outer green skin, so you're left with nothing but the jelly. Throw it in a blender, blend it all down, put it into ice cube trays, and freeze it. And then just pop the ice cubes out, put them into a Ziploc bag, labeled, obviously. That way, anytime you need fresh aloe vera, you can literally go into the freezer and pull out 1 cube of frozen aloe vera. If you've got a burn, if you need it for sickness, to take it internally, whatever, it's right there, and it's frozen. And of course, frozen, it'll stay good like that in a deep freeze for at least a year and a half. And you can do that with a lot of your herbs, right? Like a lot of herbs that I use regularly, my basil, I've got a whole bowl full of basil right now that's going to go into the blender and I'll blend it with some olive oil, and I'll freeze it in ice cube trays. And then I'll have, anytime I want fresh basil for something, I can literally go and pull out 1 ice cube of basil and chuck it into the dish that I'm making. Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, those are the best. If you've got a big aloe vera plant, my problem is I move country so often that I always end up giving away an aloe vera plant before it gets that size. The huge big leaves of aloe vera plant, if you, like I said, sometimes you can buy them at the grocery store. Those are brilliant to have. And just do it, like I said, you're not going to use it all up, but if you can get a big ass leaf and then, like I say, put it in the blender and then put it in the freezer and freeze it down, then you'll have it forever. You'll always have it available. There are a lot of things, Aaron. Yeah, things like cayenne pepper to extract to stop bleeding. There is a lot of things that people can get to put in their kit. I'm not going into a lot of detail on things like that because you have to know how to use them. So there's no use going, for example, and buying 20 bottles of essential oil if you don't know how to use them or you haven't researched how to use them. There's no use buying a professional tourniquet if you're not going to go online and look at the video and watch the instructions and learn how to use it, right? So I'm trying to give some basic broad spectrum stuff. When we start, we'll have to talk about another whole show that'll just deal with like natural type stuff because we've already done this. We talked about this quite a bit. I mean, my kit goes way in depth because that's what I do. So I have, for example, and this isn't a bad idea. You can pick these up relatively cheap. That is a blood pressure cuff, just battery operated, little take it with you blood pressure cuff. It's not a bad idea to have them, especially if you have someone in your household that maybe has a blood pressure problems, right? It's a good thing to have. But you know, like my kit includes, that's IV stuff. That's for setting up IVs, locks, etc. for IVs. Would I ever use it? Will I ever need it? Probably not. But if I get into a situation where I could get myself a bag of Ringer's lactate and someone needs it, I'm actually set up to be able to do it. This is my very fancy, very pretty, my small surgical kit. Okay, where I've got things in here, like I've got a scalpel, I've got surgical blades, I've got surgical extractors, tweezers, scissors, even a little small pair of nail clippers, etc. that I keep handy. So, and if I have to actually do something, and I've used it multiple times, I've had to pull out things, and you got to go and cut out something that someone's got stuck in their foot, etc. I have it available. The average person isn't going to use that, but it is something to think about. And of course, in along there, more fucking latex gloves, always. I have, no, it's not a tablet, but it's a great box. Box is great. Stethoscopes, multiple. If you know how to use one. If you know how to use one, great. If you don't know how to use one, to have one doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? It's something to think about. It's not a necessity, of course. For me, I've been carrying these around for 15 years. I've just had them for 8. One of them I've had for even longer than 15 years. These are the little things that I keep. But again, there's no use. The average person isn't going to use them. The average person wouldn't know how to use them. So it's not something you have to even think about. Now, before I get Ann in here to talk homeopathics, I want to talk about a few oddball things. Hold on, as I try and press the air out of the bags before I put them back in here. One of the other things I always keep, chunk of beeswax. Now, I buy my beeswax by the kilos. I always have like vast quantities of beeswax. So this is just an example piece, right? But beeswax is so incredibly useful. Everyone should have a piece of beeswax. And again, it'll never go bad. It'll never go bad, like your honey. It will never go bad. But there are so many things you can do with beeswax. But if you aren't going to research it, of what to use beeswax for, do you really need it? I say so. I think that everyone should have beeswax and learn what to use it for. Making your own salves, making your own balms, etc. in an emergency. Now, this is one of those things. Like this goes in my first aid kit, and it's not classically what you would call first aid, but this is the type of thing that I always have, because this bag is my bug out bag as well, right? So this has got a little bit of everything from scissors to safety pins. It's got a sewing kit in it. It's got matches. It's got a T-ball in it. I'll put it back. T-ball in it, so if you're using herbs and you need to make some kind of a remedy for someone. Something everyone should also have in your bug out bag. Everyone know what those are? That is a Fresnel lens. They're plastic, they're virtually indestructible. It is a magnifying glass, and it is a fire starter. If you're ever out, get out the old magnifying glass for starting a little fire. And they weigh nothing. You can literally, it's the size of a credit card. You can put that in your wallet. Everyone in my family has one. All my kids have one in their own bug out bag. They have them in their purse. Quinlan's got hers in her purse, etc. Things like in this bag, I've got things like hair bands. Like I said, matches, sewing kit. One of the things I have a spool of nylon, not just regular thread. I've got a little manicure set, which is going to show you've got nail clippers, tweezers, little tiny scissors, etc., etc. Tissue, and of course, more band-aids and plasters, etc. A toothbrush. It's just a little easy, quick thing. You can grab it and take it with you, and it literally any kind of an emergency, it's going to come in handy. Other little things. Don't laugh. Wooden clothes pegs have 1,001 uses, and they should be in everyone's bug out bag and everyone's kits. You should have them around the house because there's so many things you can use these bad boys for. And because Bossy brought it up, the knife bag. Okay? Not everyone is going to need a good straight blade like that. This one is a really, really good one. I recommend everyone should have one really good knife. This one has got a pounding pad at the bottom where you can hammer stuff in, hammer steaks in, like for example, if you're out camping. Okay? Having a good knife is really, really important. There are so many things that are useful. I've got these are two of mine. So that one can go on a belt, and it's just a little pair knife. Really, really sharp. Very, very easy to hang on to. This is my little knife. Everyone laughs. This knife is absolutely brilliant because it is legal everywhere in the world because the blade is only, hold on if I get it to release. That's how long the blade is. It's wee. It has got a saw edge on it, a serrated edge on it. It is unbelievably sharp, and I can just tie it onto something or wear it around my neck, and it'll never get lost that way. The other thing that everyone should have, whether it's a first aid kit or not first aid kit, everyone should have a multi-tool. Multi-tools are the cat's ass. This is a smaller one. This is my Leatherman. Okay, that's just a Leatherman multi-tool. And I prefer Gerber. Okay, Gerber multi-tools, where if you're in any situation, you've got the tools to be able to, open it up, it's got a knife, it's got a saw, it's got the screwdriver, it's your quintessential, your old school Swiss Army knife, but extremely helpful, and everyone should have one. Now, they're not cheap. A good quality one, if you're going to use it, I recommend spending the money and getting a Gerber or a Leatherman, but I prefer Gerber. The cheap ones, you can buy these for $8-9, but they're $8-9 quality. So in other words, the steel's going to be inferior. The first time you go to try and use the pliers to open a nut on something, to crank something open, they'll snap. The hell, Nick has broken so many of these, it's not even funny. That's him. Little things to have on hand, things like a knife sharpener, and then know how to use it. How to sharpen your own knives is really, really important. One of these bad boys. Does anyone here? And another Fresnel. Anyone know how to use these? Does everyone remember how to use one of these? Because it's been a fuck of a long time. Compass is important. Compasses are really important. But you have to know how to use one, right? And it's easy. Compasses you get really, really inexpensive. This is not an expensive compass, this one. I got another one over here. This is a really nice one. This is a good old-fashioned classic one. There we go. Look at that bad boy. You have to know how to use it, right? That's the trick. No use buying up lots and lots of toys, if you will, if you're not going to learn how to use them properly. Everyone should learn how to use a compass. That's just, my 2 pieces. Yeah, sharpeners, things like hairbands, string, elastic bands. They're all in my first aid kit because I use them all the time. Seriously, Amina did a mani-pedi with a Leatherman. That's just terrible. That's terrible, Amina. Terrible.
And don't forget the false lashes, because you never know when you're going to run into a fashion emergency.
That's right. A false lashes in case you run. Yeah, no, my bug out bag does not have false lashes or makeup or anything like that in it. Definitely not. That's Quinlan's bug out bag. Yeah, there you go. That would be Quinlan's bug out bag, not mine. Okay, let me put this down for a second, because now I got so much bloody shit. I gotta move out of my chair. Ugh, put this all down. Okay, so before we go on, does anyone have any questions? Specific questions to what I've just been talking about, or recommendations? Oh, come on, there we go. We have to move that over too.
Yeah, Donnie.
Yeah, love.
Hi. When you were speaking, my internet did some wonky stuff, and you pulled out something that you just now recently, and you said you hang it around your neck. What was that, please?
That was a knife.
Oh, okay.
That was
Didn't get that.
a little small fixed blade knife.
Okay,
Hang
great.
it around my neck or tie it around my waist or whatever. Anne, are you talking about my entire first aid kit? It's probably about 10 kilos. It's about 10 kilos. The average person doesn't need that much. And that's my bug out first aid. One of the things I will add to the list, hold on, as something to think about, and again, you have to acquire the knowledge to use it. I highly recommend picking up something like this if you're into herbs, if you're into herbal remedies, etc., natural stuff. This is come on, I can get this without dropping everything. This is a capsule filler. Not expensive. I bought this on eBay. I don't think it cost me much more than about $20, maybe. But it's really, really handy to have on hand. And that is in my at-home first aid bug out type equipment. I'm trying to put this down now without dropping all the pieces. My equipment. I can take any herbs, spices, even things like diatomaceous earth. There's some people who are like, drinking diatomaceous earth or clays, or it tastes so terrible. Yeah, you're right. It's not pleasant, but you can fill it into capsules and take it that way. Makes it a lot easier for a lot of people. That's something to keep in mind. It's just a little extra piece. And then, of course, you can buy, you can buy capsules, the empty capsules. So I've got multiple different sizes of capsules that are in a bag. So I can just fill it up with whatever I want, whether I can fill it up with herbs, spices, specific mixes for someone in the family if they need it, medicine for the dogs, whatever. It's another piece to kind of add to the equation depending on how far you want to go. So, this is the other thing. In everyone's first aid kit, have a notebook. Have a notebook. Have a pen, a paper, markers, whatever you've got. If you're ever in a situation where you're looking after someone, especially if it is more of an emergency situation where you're stressed out, tension is high, etc., it's very easy to forget things. So, for example, someone maybe has sprained their ankle and you've given them a Tylenol. Write down the person's name, the Tylenol, what type, what strength of Tylenol, and the time that you gave it to them, so that you're not guessing. So that the next person comes along and goes, oh, the person like, oh, my ankle really hurts. You can look and go, oh, yeah, you know what? Actually, you can have another one now. Enough time has gone by. You can actually have another one. If you have to give someone an antibiotic, write it in the book so that you know that that person got, the dog got his liver pill, the auntie has got taken her antibiotic or her heart medication or something. Because when you're dealing with stressful situations, it's very, very easy to forget things. So keeping a notebook, and even get a smaller one, like this is obviously a school notebook. You just pick up a little tiny notebook with a little pen that sticks in it, have it inside your first aid kit. So you just always have it available if the need arises, that you can put notes down. I gave so-and-so this at this time on this day. These are important. Little things like that. My full first aid kit is tons of essential oils. Now, in any bug out situation, my entire kit of essential oils would be coming with me. It's not even a question. I have massive amounts of homeopathics, and Anne's going to talk to us in a second about homeopathy. All that stuff would come with me, unless it's a matter of extreme bug out where you're leaving on foot and you can only carry X amount of whatever you can take with you is just what you can carry on you. Hold on. I'm going to take everything with me. So the same thing, I've got piles of oils, I have beeswax, things like that. I have tons of, I have bags and bags of dried herbs. When we talk about prepping your food in some ways, things like herbs, also goes, it's dual purpose, right? Like you have oregano, because then you can make yourself a really nice spaghetti sauce, but you also have oregano because you can take oregano, whether you make it into a tea and drink it as a tea, whether you put some in a capsule and take it that way. Oregano is so amazing for so many things, whether you've got cold, whether you've got an upset stomach, you've got serious head congestion. Thyme is another one. Rosemary is another one. They're double duty type things. You want to have them for multiple reasons, and having large quantities of them, if you've got freezer space, herbs will stay in the freezer. You can just take your dried herbs, put them in the freezer, and then they stay fresh for ages, so you don't have to worry about it. Any other questions, guys? Anyone? Bueller? Yeah, Dawn, I've always been the mobile medic. I've been the mobile medic for quite a long time. Hello, Anne. Do you want to come out and talk homeopathics here for a little bit? Because this is a really important one. Like, really, really important.
Yep. So, this is not going to be everybody's cup of tea, I reckon, but I've mentioned a couple of, well, yeah, there's levels, and I need to go back a little bit, because I've never actually explained what homeopathy is anytime we've mentioned it, and that causes confusion for people. So I have prepared a little presentation. So hang in there, everybody, and I hope you don't get bored. Okay, so I want to talk about the scope of homeopathy and the different levels of use. So just to start out with, homeopathy is not new. The system was put together in the early 1800s by a German fellow called Samuel Hahnemann. There are three main, it's based on a series of principles, but the three main ones are, the first one, like cures like. And that means that whatever can cause a sickness can also cure it. So a very obvious example of that would be if you're peeling an onion, it can cause your eyes to tear. And an onion is an allium. Allium cepa is often given to people who have the kind of hay fever where their eyes just run. So what can cause a symptom can also cure it. That is not unique to homeopathy, but what is unique to homeopathy is the minimum dose. And this is something that people don't usually understand because they think that homeopathy is a bit like, is like herbalism. So Hahnemann took the basic principle that what can cause symptoms can cure them, but he realized that you couldn't use that with poisons like arsenic and belladonna and things like that, because you would end up poisoning people. So what he started doing was diluting the remedies, and he put them through a series of dilutions, and then this banging, which we call succussion. And in fact, most homeopathic remedies are diluted beyond Avogadro's numbers. So there isn't even one molecule of the original substance in the homeopathic remedy. So homeopathy is, in fact, an energy medicine. You're dealing with the energy of a substance, not the molecules. And the third and very important, as far as I'm concerned, law, which was not devised, written by Hahnemann, it came later. It was a fellow called Herring. But the law of cure is the way that we assess the action of a remedy. It's something that is pretty much unique to homeopathy. It would be great if orthodox medics did it, because they mess up a lot of cases because they don't. The law of cure is, so we find a remedy and we give a tiny submolecular dose of it, and then we assess the action of the remedy according to the law of cure. Now, the law of cure takes as its base the notion that we are an organized energy system. An organized energy system will always protect the most vital innermost parts as long as it can. So when our energy becomes diseased, the body attempts to regain homeostasis by producing symptoms as far away from the vital organs as it possibly can. So an example of this is you could treat somebody for asthma and the asthma clears up and a rash comes out on the skin. And we would say that's really good. The symptoms are moving from the innermost to the outermost, to the skin. Now, the opposite of that, you'll see happening a lot with orthodox medicine, that they'll treat something superficial, the superficial thing goes away, and the next thing that happens is actually more dangerous. The symptoms move inwards. So we always want to see that symptoms move from important organs to less important organs, from the inside to the outside. And if anything, I mean, for instance, you know, there's an acne treatment that orthodox medicine uses, and one of the side effects is suicidal ideation. So you can tell quite clearly that that does not follow the law of cure. Somebody comes with a skin rash goes away, but they want to kill themselves. So it's not a good thing. That's something, no matter what system of medicine you use, you ought to be aware of that, particularly if you're treating skin conditions, particularly because the body will most often use the skin as an organ of elimination. Okay, so the next thing, what are homeopathic remedies made of? A lot of people, again, because they confuse homeopathy with herbalism, they think that all of our remedies are made with plants. In fact, they're not. You can make a homeopathic remedy from anything, from all kingdoms, animal, vegetable, mineral. Snake venoms are very important remedies for us. So are some of the metals. And now we're dealing with imponderables like Sol and various kinds of radiation. So you can make a homeopathic remedy out of absolutely anything, no matter how poisonous, as long as you can actually handle the thing to make the remedy in the first place, because the dose that you will be getting is submolecular. So how do we know when we make a remedy? How do we know what the remedy can do? you've probably heard me refer to provings, and Danny referred to provings every now and again. So in the early days, the homeopaths would say, look at something like arsenic and say, ooh, that's a good poison, so it'll probably be a good remedy. And what they did was make a homeopathic dose of arsenic and give it to healthy human volunteers for a period of time until they started to produce symptoms. And the healthy human volunteers wrote down in detail everything that they were going through. In homeopathy, we look at the mental, emotional, and physical levels always. It's never just the physical, never just the emotional or the mental. We look at the whole person. We look at their energy. We look at how they're doing, how they're feeling in the world. It's very important that all of these things are taken into consideration. For instance, if you give somebody a remedy and the physical symptom clears up, but they feel really lacking in energy and depressed in themselves, that does not follow the law of cure. So it's not a good response and needs to be changed. Now, the other question I get a lot is, what do the numbers after the remedy mean? The numbers refer to the degree of dilution and potentization. The C potencies are the ones that we use most often. C stands for centesimal, so it's a dilution of 1 part to 99, or 1 in 100. The X that you will see when you get, most of you who take cell salts will know that the C or the X is a dilution of 1 in 10. People say, well, what number should I take? The low potencies, the ones that have most molecules in them, are actually, in homeopathic terms, quite weak. So we use them for slow moving issues, like, for instance, warts or something that there's not a great deal of energy behind the situation that's going on. So X potencies and 6C would be for, okay, I've got a wart on my foot. You could take a 6C or a 12C for that. Medium potencies are good for most first aid, and a lot of the first aid kits will have a 30C. All of the remedies will be in a 30C. Medium high potencies, 200C, are very good for intense situations, and this is where the whole person is involved. Childbirth is an example of that. When you're giving birth, you're not generally thinking about other things, or your whole being is involved in this process. The same would be for acute situations like broken bones or serious injuries that involve the whole being. How often do you give a remedy? Now, this is another, obviously it's a huge subject, and I'm just giving you kind of fairly straightforward directions here. But most often you have to think that the homeopathic remedy, it's not a molecular dose. All that it's doing is unblocking your own healing energy. That's all it's supposed to do. It's not working on you in the way that a herbal medicine would or pharmaceutical medicine. It's simply unblocking something that is blocked in your own immune response, in your own energy. So you could look at the homeopathic remedy as if it were a drain rod, right? So you poke the drain with the remedy, energy starts to move. Now, if the energy keeps moving, that's brilliant. You don't need to repeat the remedy until it blocks up again. Sometimes all you have to do is give one pill. Sometimes you have to give a pill several times. Now, in terms of prepping and bugging out, homeopathic remedies are absolutely fabulous, because you can, in a box like that, you can have everything you need to treat yourself and a whole village of people besides. Because a homeopathic remedy can be, you can add 1 pill to a 30 ml bottle of water and just take drop doses from the bottle of water. So the little bottle of pills will last you a long, long time. Now, what you can treat and what what's difficult to treat? Acute treatments. An acute situation is something that has a definite start and a definite ending. So first aid comes into that, as do things like fevers and flus and so on. An acute situation, it has a definite start and a definite end. As the old books used to say, it either ends in life or death, but it ends. A chronic disease is something else. That's something that goes on for years and years and years, and it's something that you've had for a long time. It's generally slow moving, and it's taken a while for your body to get to that state. So first aid, any of us can do first aid, very easy. Constitutional treatment, which is the treatment of chronic and inherited disease, takes time and is usually done by a professional homeopath, because we need to go right back to birth. We need to look at your ancestral stuff, your genetics, and follow, look at your entire timeline to find out what what can be done to get your energy moving in the direction of cure. Okay, so now I'm going to start. There are layers to homeopathy. If you've never used it before, there's some things that you can do really easily. And the ones on this page, anybody can do. You don't have to read. You don't have to read up. You don't have to compare. You can just buy these particular remedies and use them without worrying whether they'll work or not. They will absolutely work. The most important thing in my mind, or to my mind, that homeopathy can do that pretty much no other system of medicine can do is treat shock. And shock is one of the most serious things in accident situations. Shock, when you have an accident or something traumatic happens to you, your body goes into a kind of stasis while it figures out what to do next or what's going on. So it's great, it's necessary, but you need to move through it. And very often we don't. People get stuck in shock. In fact, shock can kill, because if you can't move through the shock, then the vital organs start to shut down. So you must, or at least you should, in my opinion anyway, have aconite in a 30 and a 200C in your kit. And another thing that's brilliant for shock is not actually a homeopathic remedy, it's an essence. It's called Rescue Remedy. Absolutely brilliant for shock. You can give it to everybody. This shock is particularly, say there was a really traumatic situation, you're not necessarily involved in an accident yourself, but you just see one, and you feel shocked. You should, that's a situation where aconite is particularly good. When I used to do first, we took rescue remedy ourselves before we went to do the first aid, because when a person is seriously traumatized, it's important that you as a first aider are relaxed and calm, focused, and they will feel your energy, and the way that you feel has quite an effect on how a person responds. So it's a good idea to have rescue remedy. And if you have to do any first aid, take the rescue remedy yourself. First of all, a few deep breaths and off you go. Just never run straight away to a first aid. Okay. So the next level up then is injury. Danny's always going on about arnica, aren't you, Danny? Arnica is the most amazing remedy for physical trauma, where aconite is particularly for psychological trauma. Arnica is for physical trauma. So anytime you fall or break a bone or bang yourself, any trauma, any trauma at all, take arnica straight away. I'd been doing a first aid one time, and the person had been knocked unconscious, and I was treating them with arnica. They came round, the ambulance came, and I was seeing her off on the ambulance. I jumped off the ambulance and broke bone in my foot as I landed. Holding the arnica in my hand, so I took it straight away. And I took it every 10 minutes to start out with. And then what happens when you're in a situation like that is you will notice that you need to take the remedy quite often initially. So I take it for 10 minutes, and then I'd start to feel myself, I'd feel the pain coming back. I took another dose, another 10 minutes, another dose, and then I could stretch it out to like 30 minutes before the pain started to come back, and then it was an hour before the pain started to come back. And by the time I got to hospital, the doctors couldn't believe that I'd broken this bone, and yet there was no pain, and I knew not to stand on it, but no pain and very, very little swelling. So you really should have arnica in your bag as well. Let me see, nerve injury. That's the brilliant one, Hypericum 200. If you damage a part that is rich in nerves, if you crush a finger, a spinal injury, toe injury, any part of you that is rich in nerves, it's extraordinary. The homeopaths used to say, all these guys, all the doctors who say that homeopathy is placebo, and we used to say, yeah, we should just close the door on their fingers and then hold off and say, do you want to try some Hypericum? It works incredibly quickly. So any nerve injury, Hypericum 200, absolutely brilliant. Open wounds. So that is a wound, caused. It's not a surgical wound. Is a wound with clear borders, if you like. It's easy for it to come together, and it generally will be quite easy to clean. A wound where flesh has been torn away and there are gaps and things like that. Calendula is a brilliant remedy for that, because that kind of a wound is more prone to sepsis. Calendula is also brilliant after childbirth. It's amazing to, if there's been a tear or an episiotomy, you make up with that Hypercal tincture. So you get Calendula 200, and you can also get this tincture, which is a mixture of Hypericum and Calendula, Hypercal tincture. So you can make up compresses with Hypercal tincture and put them on the episiotomy or the tear or whatever. Also very good for sore breasts after breastfeeding. Puncture wounds on the feet, well, wherever, but they very often are on the feet. Ledum 200 is a brilliant remedy. You'd never have to worry about tetanus. Make sure that with the puncture wound, one of the problems is the route of entry is very narrow and they tend to be deep. So it's quite hard to get them clean. One of the things that you should do is squeeze the puncture wound to get it bleeding out, so that whatever went in there on the tip of, if it was a rusty nail, the typical thing, you want that to bleed out as much as possible, and take Ledum 200 at the same time. I can't see the chat, so I don't know if there's any questions. Anyhow, sure, I can answer questions at the end. I'm not going to go too much further into this. Injury to tendons and ligaments, Routograph 30C. Tendons and ligaments are slow healing. They're actually slower than bones, and they can give a lot of trouble. So Routograph 30C is a brilliant remedy to take after a tendon or a ligament injury. Injury to deep tissue. Say you got a punch in the stomach that went right in, into the soft organs in your middle. Bellus perennis is absolutely incredible for that. Bellus perennis is the common daisy. And if you think about a daisy, people walk on daisies all the time, and yet they don't die. Their little shiny faces come back up again. One of my chickens, a neighbor came in to me and said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. She said, my dog just killed one of your chickens. And so we went, okay. I went out to find the chicken lying in a heap outside, but she wasn't quite dead. She was just, chickens go into this kind of catatonic state sometimes. So I brought her inside and I gave her Bellus perennis. Well, first of all, I gave her arnica, actually. And she stayed alive, but she wasn't getting any better. And then I gave her Bellus perennis. And the next day she was standing up and eating and pooing and laying eggs like normal. So it's quite extraordinary if there's a deep tissue injury. Injury pain worse for any movement. That's Bryonia 200C. Bryonia is brilliant for broken bones. Because any injury where you just cannot, it's very common in injury that you can't move, especially with a broken bone. So, and then we have Danny's favorite injury mix.
You're so funny. I can't live without this one. I just bought a big ass bottle of it too, just to make sure I have it.
Okay, so this is like, you know, in classical homeopathy, you just use one remedy at a time. However, in first aid situations, sometimes it's useful to throw in a whole heap if you don't know exactly how it's going to come out. So you have arnica for the physical trauma, you've got calendula for any tissue damage or potential sepsis, you've got hypericum for nerve damage, you've got rustox, which is for situations where you get really stiff. You know, if you've got an injury and you go to move and you're very, very stiff on first movement, and then you kind of ease out of it. That's rustox. Rutagrave is for the ligament injury, and symphytum, which is actually knit bone, that is brilliant for the pain of broken bones. Very, very good. So that injury mix is the handy one into having your bug out bag. You can give that without having to be too specific about exactly what's going on.
And I'm just going to chime in here for a split second and say, everyone should order this one. If you have kids who fall down, I have, in the last 4 weeks, we've had so many injuries in our house, ridiculous things. I fell off a step and put a chip in my bone, put a bone fracture here. Of course, I didn't go to the hospital because why? I took that remedy. And literally the difference is night and day. Quinlan sprained her ankle. Same thing. We gave her that right away, and she's back to jumping on the trampoline again. 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks later, she's back to jumping on the trampoline again, skipping rope, etc. I cannot say enough of how, for just having something on hand, like Anne said, we are not entirely certain just how deep the damage goes. You know, is it a bone bruise? Is it a broken bone? Is it a torn ligament? Is it going to be soft tissue damage? This covers it all, and I literally, like I said, I just upped my homeopathics first aid kit, and that was one of the first things I ordered again, because I already had a good bottle of it, but I was like, no, I must have more of this. So I just want to add my 2 cents.
And where can we order that?
I'm going to tell you now in a tick when I get to the resources page here. Okay, now as far as I've gone with injuries, you can do this. Any of you can do this straight away without knowing any more about homeopathy, okay? Now, from here on, I'm not going to go into the individualized stuff, because if you're interested in using homeopathy, you can learn how to do it. But with the individualized stuff, like treating a fever, we've got incredible remedies for treating fevers. If you've got a sudden fever, it's aconite. If you've got a fever that's centered in the head, where the child is delirious and you're worried about brain injury, belladonna, absolutely fantastic. If you've got a slow flu-like fever, gelsemium 30. These are remedies. If you've got kids, or even you want to treat yourself, these remedies are really important to have as well. However, when you start looking at sicknesses rather than injuries, you need to take more information into consideration. And this is where we would be asking, how is the person behaving? What is their mood like? Have they changed what they're eating or drinking? So we would need a little more information in order to treat diseases that are coming from the inside as opposed to injuries which come from the outside. Does that make sense? If you buy a box like this, it will come with a little booklet that tells you what everything in here does and helps you to make those decisions yourself. And I can't recommend these. This particular one is a traveler's kit. I've traveled, you know, I've lived in villages in Bali with never ever had, you know, anything in here. I would treat a whole village with a box like this. They're absolutely fantastic. Okay, so resources. If you are in the UK, in fact, anywhere in the world, you can access helios.co.uk. Helios is a really, really good pharmacy. They're very reasonable. They are so full of integrity. Most of the people who work in there are fully trained homeopaths. There's no shortcuts. It's really, really good. And they have a very comprehensive website. You can find everything. MirandaCastro.com. Miranda is based in Florida now, I believe. And she has written, there's lots of information on her website. You can also buy a lot of kits and remedies from her. She has her own lot of cell salts too, for those who are into it. And Mary's Homeopathy Study Group on Facebook. For those of you who are still on Facebook, this is a brilliant resource for online learning, and just you can pose a question and people on there will help you with it. Very, very good. So I'm not going to say any more about homeopathy right now. Why didn't that stop sharing here?
It stopped on our side. It stopped on our side, love. No worries. No worries.
Good.
I'm gonna chime in here with, this is my really beaten up kit. I don't know how much these are now. I think they're about 30 quid around there. I'm not sure. Okay. All your remedies are inside. You can see I'm missing one because I pulled it out the other day. I have mine has got it because I've got two kits. One's a 200C, one's a 30C, and I've got them mixed together because this is my one that goes with me everywhere. They come with like a little teeny basic guidebook inside that gives you just some basic, a little bit of basic understanding of what you would use the different remedies for. I have never been without these for 15 years. Literally, if you are going to put something into your first aid kit, you're going to spend a bit of money on something to go in your first aid kit. I highly recommend getting one of the basic emergency first aid kits from Helios. Again, I don't work for them. I don't get any money out of this as a recommend. Maybe I should see if I can get them to put them on the website and sell them myself because I'm always promoting them. Goes with me everywhere. If we even go hiking, this goes in my backpack because I cannot tell you how many times, and you can buy refills, right? And I've refilled these bottles, I don't know how many times, and I highly recommend, highly recommend. That's something, if you're really looking at your first aid stuff, you should have one of these first aid kits.
Yeah. Okay, so Laura is asking, what is the group on Facebook called? It's called Mary's Homeopathy Study Group, I think. Mary Aspinwall is the person who devised the Helios kits. She's actually a friend of mine. She lives in Ireland. And she's a wonderful teacher. Mary's
Homeopathy Study Group is exactly what the group is called. If you type it into the search, Mary's Homeopathy. Wow, I don't speak English today. Study group. And you'll find it right away.
She also has a website, and she is going to be bringing out online learning stuff now. Sony, who's not into Facebook. let me see. If you Google her, I'll see if I can just find her own website.
I've got it saved somewhere, Anne, but I don't know where it is now in my stuff. Yeah, in our family, like our homeopathy is like our go-to. Like there's certain things that I use in the house that are just the go-to. So the things like anyone gets hurt, one of the girls will immediately, even the boys, and my youngest is 10, and he will literally go to I have like a first aid cupboard upstairs in my bedroom, but I also have a first aid cabinet here in the kitchen, and it's a little half cardboard box, and Cale can go and he finds the arnica, and if he falls down, bangs his head, he'll go take an arnica right away. They already know how to use it, like their basic ideas. Little
And they
further to
taste
that.
nice.
What was that? Say again, love.
They taste nice.
And they taste, yeah, they're just like a sugar thing. It doesn't like it taste like nastiness. Yeah, maryaspinwall.com. There you go. And just put the link in there. And do me a favor, can you send me the link on Messenger too, so I can make sure I include that in our list? It is amazing when you find the right remedy. It's amazing. It's amazing stuff. It's shocking at how, and like I said, everyone knows how when I fell and smashed my arm, the very first thing Nick did before he did anything else, he literally went to the cabinet and got out the arnica and brought me the arnica 200C and gave me an arnica 200C. Like I was still lying in a puddle on the floor, and he was already giving me the arnica.
Yeah,
it works because it just
and the big
works.
thing
It
for
just
people,
works.
yeah, it works. And the thing to remember is that all it's doing is unblocking your own healing energy. That's all. It's what you've got inside you. And in a way, homeopathy is a step. I always saw it as a kind of medicine of transition between molecular medicine and pure energy medicine. And that's where we're headed anyway, into pure energy medicine. Danny is able to program essences in her mouth, aren't you? Our remedies, Danny.
Yep. We've proven that one.
Yeah, it's possible. You see, the thing is, another thing about homeopathy that's so amazing in a kind of bug out situation is that if you don't have the remedy, you can program water with the remedy name. So there's no situation where you do not have it. Yeah.
I'm in the middle of programming a bottle of water right now, and I don't really know what I'm programming yet. This is my radiation one, Anne. I just keep working on it. Until I know that I've got it right. I'm programming that water because of the radiation situation. And I'm just, when I get the motion, I kind of go forward with it and I work on it. And it's not quite right yet. It's not quite right. But when it's right, I'll be sending Anne some. And then we'll test it.
Yeah. So it is, and you can see why pharma wants to kill us, because like I say, you can treat a whole village with that.
Well, there you go. That's the original bottle that you sent Gail when Gail broke her foot. And that is that blend that's the Calendula Hypericum Arnica for physical injury blend. Now, I don't know if you can see, that's how many are left. Gail took half of them. She put them in her own bottle, then sent the bottle on to me. I have given, I don't know how many of these away to other people I know who've had injuries. And I've been like, good, because I always keep little tiny glass bottles so I can put some in, and I hand out. And there's still that many left. That is, you can't see how tiny they're like a millimeter across. They're minuscule little tiny globules. There's probably 100 in there still. Now I just went and ordered another big bottle, like in this size, to make sure I have them, because I can't be without them now. It's like crack. I have to have it. You can treat, like Anne said, you can treat the entire, like literally, I have been treating so many people with this one teeny tiny little bottle, and that little teeny tiny bottle was
£4 or something?
Yeah, because I've got the big bottle. The big bottle that I ordered was 10 quid. So that was like £4 sterling. That's the equivalent of about $7 Canadian. And so you can understand why Big Pharma wants to put this out of business, wants to get everyone to not even look at homeopathy. Because, and you know, same thing. Anne was joking about it, saying there are still remedies in use that are original remedies.
Mm.
Original, as in from 1810, 1820, and they're still in use. It's energy.
Yep.
So energy doesn't go bad.
Although I would say, although energy doesn't go bad, you do need to be a little more careful with your homeopathic remedies than you would be with the packet of aspirin. So, because it is an energy. So, I remember having a case once of this there was a child with a serious right-sided earache. He was screaming with the pain. And I said to the mum, give him belladonna. And she did, and nothing happened. And she rang back and she said, nothing happened. And I said, that's weird. Belladonna should have hit that on the head straight away. And then it turned out that they'd driven all the way through Spain with the bottle of belladonna rolling around in the back seat of the car in the hot sunshine, and it was inactive. So I got them to change the bottle. They gave one belladonna. Immediately, the child was better. That's the kind of response you expect in acute situations with homeopathy, that there's an immediate response. Chronic disease obviously takes longer, but yeah, take care of the remedies and they will last forever.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, which is really, if you are buying larger bottles, larger bottles of dosages like this, for example, at Helios, you can buy those little teeny glass vials bottles that are in the kit. You can buy the empty ones. So that's what I've done. Like, for example, my kits are so empty because I've given so many of them away that I literally went and bought a bunch of the little tiny glass bottles off them, refilled them from my bigger bottles, relabeled them, put them back in my kit. And then, for example, I always have 2 or 3 bottles of the arnica that's labeled and ready to just give away to someone if they need it. Just boom, here we go. You can just take that.
And don't forget that you can dilute them, because that's the thing. You can dilute all of these remedies and they'll be just as effective. In fact, you can make a homeopathic remedy stronger by this period of succussion between the phases of dilution are what makes the remedy stronger. So you can put 1 pill from your little bottle into a 30 ml bottle and then bang it before each dose, and you will be giving a slightly stronger dose each time.
Yep.
And Dawn, yes, they have a kit for pets now, and I can't recommend them highly enough. Like Danny, I get, this is not a commercial, but I just can't. If you're stuck for space, you're bugging out. You've got everything you need in a kit like this.
Yeah.
You can treat yourself for all eventualities. You really can.
Helios also does a childbirth kit that I cannot, if you're having a baby, holy crap, you need this kit because it covers everything in like literally, and it's made specifically for pregnancy, for childbirth, for postpartum. It is a brilliant kit, and same thing. It's I found out about that from my midwife when I had Logan. She was like, "This is what my Bible is." She says, and she used to give out as soon as you had a baby. The first thing she was coming in with the 200C arnica, give you a 200C arnica the moment you finished having the baby, just to make sure that you were set in. And she'd give an aconite if it was a particularly bad birth. And she used to tell everyone, she sold them. She had little tiny vial remedies of arnica and aconite. And anyone who was having a home birth, she was like, I suggest you buy both and have them just on hand.
Yeah. And arnica during a long labor, absolutely brilliant. When someone is getting exhausted, you just give them an arnica every time they just want to sleep. The energy comes back. It's really good.
Yep. So guys, we've gone way over time. Way over time, which I knew we would. Does anyone have any more questions on anything? And if you guys want us to if you want to rehash some of this, because I went through a lot of my stuff and I only touched on some real basic stuff. I didn't get into essential oils. I didn't get into herbs. I didn't get into like kitchen bugging out type stuff, like the stuff that just from your kitchen larder, like your dry herbs and salts and things like that. we can get into that like at another time. But if you guys have anything, just let me know. Do I do an apprentice program at Chez Danny? Yeah, I do. My daughters, when they're interested, when they want to.
Oh, Claire, Claire wants to know about alternatives to antibiotics.
Yeah.
You did ask that at the beginning, Claire. So, I mean, with homeopathy, of course, I haven't been to see a doctor since I was 26. I mean, and that was for an injury. But you need to know a little bit more you need to take a little bit more information in order to give a remedy from a homeopathic perspective.
Yeah. That's the thing. Sometimes you need to see a homeopath. I have a lovely homeopath that I just have on hand. Every time Anne, I need you. But you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes for as Anne was saying, if you're talking about, for example, if you've got an infection, well, before you can give it a homeopathic remedy, you have to know, what is the cause, what is the effect, what are the symptoms, it's not just a one size fits all. Take this. I haven't taken an antibiotic in 10 years. I had a massive tooth abscess, and they gave me antibiotics, and they blew a hole in the lining of my stomach that I still have to this day. I still have a hole in my stomach because of the antibiotics. So needless to say, I'll never take them. Besides, I'm also allergic to 90% of antibiotics as well. I always treat everything. For me, black seed oil. If I have a chest infection, a sinus infection coming on, black seed oil. I take a tablespoon of hell. I just drink it right out of the bottle. Just take a big swig. I mix it. If it's like heavy sinus congestion, I put a couple of drops of oil of oregano in there with my black seed oil or eucalyptus oil in there. Slosh it back with a bit of juice. Knocks it right out. I have it, and I get bronchitis quite badly. I unfortunately I do get it almost every winter. But you know what? That's what knocks it out for me. Other people swear by colloidal silver for certain things, and everyone's different, right? That's one of the things we always have to remember. Every person is different. So what works for one person brilliantly may not work as well for the other person, which is why you kind of have to expand your knowledge base. So for example, the whole garlic, I know people who swear by raw garlic for antibiotic effects. Doesn't work on me. It never has. And maybe it's because I eat so much bloody garlic that my body is just literally immune to it. Maybe if I stopped eating garlic for a year or two, that it would then have that medicinal effect. I eat a lot of raw garlic, so therefore it's never really worked on an antibiotic level for me. But yeah, there's so many different things that you can use, and once you learn basics, and it doesn't have to be this overwhelming, I have to learn everything right now because no, you gain your knowledge bit by bit by bit. You find one thing, you start to use it, and you get comfortable with it. You're like, oh, I use this, and I know how it works, and this is awesome. And then something else comes up, and you start, oh, well, how about oregano? Oh, my God, look at all the things that oregano can do. And you start experimenting with a little bit of dried oregano or oregano oil, and you're like, oh, my God, look at all these things that it's helped. And then you expand bit by bit. You don't have to learn it all at once. I am working on the library guides. We've had so many problems with the website. I'm sorry. I really, really wanted to have the library ready to launch to go along with this because I have so many books on herbal remedies, so many books on homeopathy, so many books on essential oils, so many books on everything you can imagine to do with health. We're struggling. Penny Tilton is helping me hugely. Oh my God, I couldn't have even gotten this far without her help. We will probably have to actually completely wipe the site. Completely wipe the site and start all over again. That's what it's looking like because we've got some error codes somewhere that we can't figure out. That have been there for years, but now it's the time of before we're going to relaunch. I want this cleared. So I'm trying. I'm really, really, really trying. Yeah, black seed oil, honestly, like I said, I have black seed oil, a liter of black seed oil that sits around, and it's actually there's bottles of black seed oil all over the house. There's one in the bathroom, there's one in my bedroom, there's one in the kitchen, there's one in the lab. So because we use it for everything. So it's one of those things, right? Black seed oil is a must. I'm telling you, it's one of those things. I've never found anything that doesn't seem to work on at this point. It's bloody incredible shit. Okay, guys, so I'm going to let you go because we're really, really over time and I need to feed my family. If you have any questions, please write me a message, either on Messenger, which sometimes I don't get the messages, so if I don't respond to you, I'm not ignoring you. I probably didn't get the message to send me another one. Sometimes that helps to bump it forward. Or you can email me at Dani, D-A-N-I, at rts.earth, or Dani, D-A-N-I, at gaiasgarden.com. So I'll put both of those links down below. So if you guys have any questions. And if there's something you want specifically to hit on with the prepping stuff, please let me know. I mean, we've got a bunch of stuff that we want to kind of go through. I just haven't got there yet. We're just trying to organize it. Okay, well, that's it, guys. I love you all. Thank you, Anne, so much for you really explained that really well, like brilliantly well. Like you actually even helped me with understanding a few things with the homeopathy. Like, ooh, I understand that a bit better now.
Yeah, well, do you know what? Whether or not you use homeopathy, the law of cure is essential to all healing.
Yep.
You must be getting better from inside out.
And that was one of those pieces. That was one of those pieces because I know that, but the way you explained it this time made you go, ah, and it's so relevant in everything, whether it's herbal or essential oils or even Western allopathic medicine. That is really an essential thing to understand that law of cures.
Yeah.
Very, very much so. Okay, my darlings, I love you. We'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.
It's one small step